mass media, the Kiev regime continues to openly ignore the agreed between the President of Russia and the United States, and supported, by the way, by Zelensky, a 30-day ceasefire on attacks on energy infrastructures. Almost on a daily basis, the Ukrainian army make drones on energy infrastructure. Since they declared the so-called energy truce, about 80 attacks were, on behalf of the Kiev regime, fixed. On the night, just a few examples, on the night from the 8th and 9th April, the Ukrainian army used 8 drones to attack the Koronievsky settlement. Visit of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia is expected were intercepted. But what is important is fact, because it was a deliberate attack of the Kiev regime on the fuel and energy complex. On the 9th of April, 2 Ukrainian drones attacked a gas distribution station, Timryuk, which provides gas to the city and Port Timryuk. All drones were on the night between 10 and 14th April. The drones broke the wires, which led to energy cuts in Belgorod, Bryansk, Zaporizhia, Kursk, and Khersonsk regions, as well as in the Krasnodar region and the LPR. And the goals of these drones were power converters, electrical substations, and this is an energy infrastructure. An overhead line in the railway station Vasilinsky of the North Caucasian Railroad Road was damaged, as well as the distribution low-pressure steel pipeline, Gazprom, gas distribution, Belgorod. This is, I would like to reiterate, just a few examples. We have already submitted all this information to the international organizations as well as to the Americans. We'll continue to do so. As for the crimes of the Kiev regime, they disseminate not only to the fuel and energy complex. The Ukrainians continue to exterminate the Russian population, not daily, but even every hour. Just a few examples. We need to cite such examples for those who believe or expect, or maybe pose questions on whether what should be done to settle the situation in Ukraine. Maybe stop supporting the Kiev regime, which in its terrorist hype commits all these crimes. On the 9th of April, the munition blow claimed lives of 2 young people, 11 and 14 youngsters. The drone attacked the civilian car in Gorlovka and the residential district in Selidovo on the 10th and 14th April, injuring 2 civilians, and a woman on the 13th of April in the Alexandrova settlement. The same day, the HIMARS attacked the Kiev district of Donetsk, damaging some civilian infrastructure, including boarding school and 2 higher institutions. On the 14th of April, the drones in the settlements of Buzhevka and Giry in Zaboltarovka, the Kursk region, claimed lives of 5 civilians. In the Belgorodsk region, between April 12 and 14, the Ukrainian drones killed truck driver and injuring at least 5 civilians. On the 13th of April, the Ukrainian army shelled with the NATO Vampire MLRS the residential areas of Kamenka, Dneprovskaya region, Tokmak, to boost further range of the Russia-Uzbek relations, joint work, and the coordinating role of our foreign ministers in this area. Put it most simple, on residential areas. On the night of the 15th of April, the Ukrainian Nazis made a suicide drone attack against civilians of Kursk and its outskirts. The strikes were deliberately made on residential areas and social infrastructure. The authorities reported about 24 multiple-story buildings, 3 of them damaged. Out of 9 victims, 6 were taken to hospital and 1 elderly woman died. One of the strikes was made deliberately on the ambulance station, on all those who should render and who should help and treat the wounded. 11 ambulance cars were under this attack and were damaged. All these drones were directed without any deliberate targets. It was made deliberately. All this operation was guided. It was a deliberately and well-thought operation as a terrorist act against the medical personnel. Now I have a question to the international organizations and to the UN Secretary General, to his official representative and numerous rapporteurs, and to the UN agencies who deal, for example, with maternal issues and childhood, protection of socially unprotected people, of medical services, and security of medical staff. Where are your statements? Where are your concerns law enforcement authorities? In particular, the crimes against the citizens of the Kursk region. The investigative committee continues to investigate into the facts of atrocities by Ukraine and, by the way, by foreign mercenaries of the citizens of Kursk region. In particular, those who survived from the settlement Goeva reported 6 Russians were shot dead during their evacuation. Bombs were released on residential buildings. There was grand looting among Ukrainian army. There were evidences that the Nazi threatened, and this information is a very sensitive one, threatened to rape a mother in the settlement Kazachye Loknya in the eyes of her minor children. Now the circumstances of the death of the 9 citizens of Makhnovka region are being identified. There were found gunshot wounds on the corpses. One of the died was an elderly woman who was just shot in the head. This is just a small part of all the atrocities. All those who are involved in these war crimes will be identified and brought to justice. Switch to the relevant international issue, the situation in Ukraine. Once again, we can state non-compliance of the Kiev on the 30-day ceasefire to attack the energy infrastructure. As you know, and you see it from at the restaurant Magellan, where a meeting of Ukrainian command with participation of the Western instructors took place in Sumy city. All these Western media hyped on this poorly staged propagandistic fake on the alleged rocket attack who killed women and children. We've made several comments on this topic. But I think that this day and these things must be talked a lot about so that everyone knew about the crimes of the Kiev regime. As we've said, new facts are being revealed that confirm that it was a deliberate staging. The Ukrainian internet is being filled with memoirs on this occasion, on the military who were eliminated and dead on the 13th of April in Sumak. The local authorities unwillingly but started to recognize the truth. The mayor of Konotop, Artyom Semenyukhin, blamed the head of the Sumsk region military administration, Vladimir Artyukh, that he organized a gathering of the Ukrainian army, engaging women and children to this event in order to use them as a human shield. Even Zelensky henchman, the deputy of the Verkhovna Rada, Madam Bezuglaya, publicly required to figure out who shaped and staged this and who ordered to use the women and children as a human shield for this event to cover the military gathering. Why this happens? It's just simply because that the citizens of Ukraine, irrespective of their political views, become to understand that they were just used, that the person who promised to bring peace to them brought slaughter and extermination. He retained his power not by democratic means, but sacrificing civilians of his own country. The facts prove, and Zelensky was compelled to fire the head of the Sumsky military administration, Mr. Artyukh, de facto reaffirming the charges. The leader of the junta tried to shift the blame on this another war crime against the citizens of Ukraine. I would like to remind Mr. Zelensky, who decided to shift the blame on the head of the military administration, Mr. Artyukh, his same words. He said a couple of years ago that he's not a bad guy, he's not a fool, then he is to blame. Whether Zelensky knows what's being happening in all these dismissals, memoirs of military soldiers, the human shields, whether Antonio Guterres knows about all these events, because just the next day following the attack, and the goals and targets were legitimate, was, and I quote, alarmed by the Sunday missile attack of Russia on Suma, and he blamed our country, and I quote, on attacking civilians. And right now, when the facts are revealed, equally as the situation in Bucha, when almost in 3 years there was no chance to release the list of all those dead, allegedly dead there. Right now, when there are new facts that this was a staging, I refer to all these stories of the Kiev regime about deliberate strikes of Russia on civilian infrastructure, on the children and women, when it became obvious and clear, maybe anyone in the Secretariat of the UN can find and be courageous enough to tell the truth.
Maybe they'll find the strength to speak up others. When the AFU attacked peaceful civilians on the Crimean Breach in the Moscow region and the St. Petersburg, the terrorists of peacekeepers were silent. The UN Secretariat just remember it, they diplomatically called for peace. Now, when the gathering of militants was destroyed, everyone in unison started blaming Russia. And when they found out that the Kiev regime, it was the Kiev regime, the local Ukrainian military administration, made up this human shield to protect this gathering, everybody just lost their minds. That's how the Kiev regime tried to shield the ghouls with children, and they did it deliberately. And now all the curators and sponsors are trying to cover it up. We also noted the pathetic statements, exclamations, those screams, lamentations that this strike was conducted on Palm Sunday during a holy day for all Christians, and so on and so forth. Only now the international mind for that. What was happening before that? There have been thousands of cases testifying to the fact that the modern Ukrainian neo-Nazis don't have anything left, don't they have anything left holy in them. I would like to dwell upon the one more aspect, relations of Ukrainian banderites with the church. We are weekly during our briefing pointing attention of the public and the international organizations, and we are talking about this every day, how the neo-Nazis are damaging and desecrating temples, how they are persecuting clergymen, desecrating holy sites and remains of saints. And what about the West, which has suddenly remembered about the Palm Sunday, the holiday for all Orthodox parishioners? Did human rights institutions and mechanisms are also silent? The High Commissioner's Office on Human Rights and Special Rapporteur on Human Rights regarding freedom of religion and convictions, the ODHR, and the personal representative of the current chairperson of the OSCE on fighting intolerance and discrimination are all silent. Such appeasement of Kiev neo-Nazis who are capturing Orthodox temples, who are persecuting the parishioners up to being up to physical actions against them, attacking clergymen, and this is all being ignored by the West. The Russian side is gathering facts and publishing the corresponding reports. There have been 2 such reports on the illegal actions of the Kiev regime in regards to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church and its clergymen and parishioners. This report was published by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia in July 2023. And in January 2025, we had the second such report, and the links will be provided in the text version of today's briefing. The reports are available in English language. They have been shared with international organizations. I haven't seen any reaction, any true reaction of international institutions to those reports. Perhaps everyone who have only just remembered the Palm Sunday occasion could find a couple hours to familiarize themselves with those reports. They have been written precisely on the basis of facts. All those crimes of neo-Nazis will be investigated and prosecuted. The Russian courts are continuing to sentence Ukrainian neo-Nazis and mercenaries for war crimes and other types of crimes. The commander of an engineering and sapper detachment of the AFU Marine detachment, Oleg Zavaletsky, was sentenced to 24.5 years for massacring a civilian in March 2022. In absentia, we sentenced the Ukrainian citizen Todor Panovsky. In January 2019, he attacked the Consul General of Russia in Odessa by throwing 5 flares, smoke flares, and a can with